All right, this is jpeg2RAW, show number 36, April 10th, and tonight we have a special guest making her third appearance, Rachel Brenke. How you doing, Rachel?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Tonight and next week we'll not have Kathleen. She is moving into a new house and a vacation, I think, near the same time frame. Whatever, her life is crazy right now, so she won't be here for this week and next week. And then the last week in April, I'll be traveling, so we won't have a show then. But other than that, jpeg2RAW is a weekly podcast where we bring great photographers like Rachel on every week, just about interview them and go over, whatever's going on with them and answer questions from chat. You can find us on iTunes by searching for jpeg2RAW. We have 3 feeds: audio, video, and a video large and video small. We're also on Facebook with a page and a group. And now, Tim, we're on Stitcher Radio. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's audio only. Sometimes if you're watching a show or listening to a show, you want it in your car. You definitely probably don't want video. You want audio, so you can get it on.
Hopefully, you don't want video while you're driving.
Yeah, you can get it on Stitcher Radio. We also now are the video, at least, is on YouTube, so you can get it there if you want. So plenty of ways to get it, and if you haven't subscribed to the show, subscribing to the show is the best way to make sure you get all the shows when Rachel's on or whenever any other guest is on every week. So Rachel, what's going on with you?
Oh my gosh.
What's not going on with Rachel?
Busy as always, trucking along, getting ready to prepare for baby. Coming up in the middle of the year, time to reassess business plans, business goals. I didn't really have any downtime this spring to do any revamping that I thought I would have, so I'm kind of trying to fit that in, but that's pretty much it.
Pretty much it. So,
yeah.
One of the things I was talking about before, I don't know if Rachel was out there in chat when I was talking about it. Rachel is, she's got many things going on in her life, but 3 big things that I know of that any one of them would be enough for the average person, or at least me. She's got baby coming along, which is something I wouldn't do, but yeah. Anyway, she's got baby number 3, child number 3 coming on, which is big enough in and of itself to have 2 children and another one on the way. She's also going to law school, so not just like taking English 101. She's going to a heavy-duty, demanding profession, doing that, and she runs a photography business all at the same time. I don't know how do you, and maybe this is a question I'll get right into because this is one of the questions that somebody asked out there, which fits to the right now, is how on earth could you manage those three things and have a family business, whatever you call that? How do you manage keeping family, business, school, all that together?
Well, first I cloned myself, and then I don't sleep. No. I do a lot of working on the go. I try to anything that I can outsource, that accounting and that kind of stuff, I try to pay someone else to do, and I just factor that into my costs so I can have time to balance other things. I try to stick to office hours. And people always ask me, well, what are your office hours? Well, it's not in the sense of 9 to 5. I do more flexible because I know sometimes on weekends I'll have to shoot, so I will take some time off during the week to account to make sure that I stay within my hours. I work a lot from my phone. I automate as much as I can. As soon as I have a session booked, I go ahead and I schedule editing time, consultation times into my calendar so I don't overbook myself. I limit the amount of sessions I take.
How many sessions do you normally take a month?
My max is 4 a weekend.
4 a week?
Well, that's during busy times. I really try to average about 2 because then I could get the processing done and get everything out to the client by midweek the next week. I try not to go a week over of delivering my product.
Something that's come up recently with a few weeks ago when we had the couple from Arizona who were in Tim Watcher typing. Tim does a great job of typing the show notes, but it's hard to come in and out of the mute button. We had a great couple on a few weeks ago who were wedding photographers from Arizona, and they outsource some of their editing. Have you ever thought about doing that?
I actually just went through this because I still have weddings planned, even with the baby. I still have weddings planned this spring and this fall. So I was researching the different editing companies that I wanted to use. I sent the same photographs to all of them. And some of the people in the chat, we've talked about this. I wasn't happy. It's one of those things that I'm not going to deliver the product to the client if I'm not 100% behind it. And I'm not to say that they didn't edit well. They did. It just was not me. It wasn't how I would have edited. I feel like I have a very distinct style of editing, which most photographers do. So I'm still trying to figure out, as someone said, I haven't found a company I like yet. They're all great. I'm going to try them for reception photographs, but for things like individualized sessions and formal portraits at weddings, I think I'm just going to have to hand do them.
Yeah, I would imagine that doing the process you're doing is something that anybody should do, is send them to multiple places, see which ones you like, if any, and then make sure that when they come back, you're not having to spend just as much time editing after the fact to get it to be your shot. Because that would be kind of wasting your time, right? I mean, if you sent them off and then they probably still need a little bit of touch-up because they're not going to do everything you would do. But if you're still having to spend the same, a good deal of time after the fact, then what good is that?
Like someone asked, is it worth outsourcing the reception photographs? On paper, yes. I didn't send any reception photos. I did all like formal photos for my test. So the next wedding that I have, I will send reception shots, just kind of to see how they do with those, and then I'll be able to update you guys. Oh, my husband's listening. He just commented.
Awesome.
Okay, now I'm all thrown off.
Is he there in the house with you?
No, he's gone to the Army already. We're moving in May, so he had to go forward without us and get all set up. So, but my goal is to find an editing company I like for reception shots, and then still hand do the formals. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's something that everybody would have to try on their own to see if there's something they like. And if they don't like, then you go back to doing it yourself. You got to find a workflow, I think, that works for you. One of the cool things, I didn't know about this, I don't know if anybody else out there, if you ran into this, I imagine you did when you sent these off, is that you probably sent them the RAW files or JPEGs or TIFFs. Well, I guess it's only work with RAW. Send them the RAW, and they only send you back the sidecar files?
It depends on who you use.
Okay.
I can't remember the names right now, so I'm not even going to butcher them, but some of them send you back the XMP, those sidecar files, and you load them into Lightroom. Well, I don't even know how to use Lightroom. That's on my list of things to do. I'm a Photoshop girl. But on the other ones, they did send me back the edited file as a JPEG.
Okay.
And I preferred that almost just because, well, I didn't know what to do with the sidecars, and I wanted it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you had a couple of main topics you wanted to talk about. And some of them I've noticed you wrote articles on your page about them. Do you want to get into one of those now? Maybe let's hold the pricing off for just a second and maybe go to copyright.
Yeah, we can talk about that real quick.
And I'm sure you'll add your own disclaimer, but I want to add mine, is that jpeg2RAW, me, Tim, and Rachel can speak for herself, are not offering any legal advice. We're only giving out suggestions. You may live in a different jurisdiction with different rules, and it is, up to you. You really should go do your own research, and if you get and really probably look at getting a lawyer to do some basic stuff. Rachel can talk to this more, but not giving any legal advice.
Yes, I'm not a barred attorney. I will finish my law degree in 2 weeks, but so anything that I say is just personal experience. It's not, we're not forming a lawyer-client relationship, yada yada, all that kind of stuff. So. But if you guys do have any questions, you can shoot them to me, and I can send you to different citations online. and you can do your own research from there. I'd be more than happy to guide and help in any way. But everything that I say is pretty much what I've learned. And I also want to preface and say, and I say this all the time, especially in my mentoring sessions and workshops, just because this worked for me, the different advice that I give or didn't work for me, doesn't mean it will or will not work for you. Everyone's business is different, and that's not just the legal side. That's anything when it comes to marketing, the business. Everyone's business and marketing areas are different. And I don't pretend to know everything. I'm still learning. I'm really new still compared to some of the big names that are out there that have been in the industries for years and years, tens of thousands, decades, whatever, y'all know what I mean. So just take a grain of salt, kind of research on your own. And all right, anyways, now that I said that.
Okay, so what are the basics that somebody should understand about copyright?
I think the biggest thing is that everyone thinks that it has to be registered, and that's not necessarily true. You automatically own the copy. You automatically have the ownership rights to the artistic product that you're producing. Copyright infringement's a huge thing. You see it all the time. I see it on friends' vendor pages all the time. They were stealing the photographs, this, that, and the other thing. Just know your rights. Know that you do own it. The second thing that I would say closely behind that is if you're a photographer that does offer digital files, seriously consider how you phrase the rights that you're giving to your clients. I have a blog post on it. I'm actually going to expand on it a little bit more in the coming weeks, but there's a difference between the copyright release and print release, and this comes in when you're educating your client. My clients always say, well, I want the copyrights. Well, that's just because that's a mainstream term. They don't really understand what that means. Essentially, I am giving you ownership of my artistic work, and I have no claim to it after that. What all your clients most likely want, and this is just a general rule, there's different things when you get into commercial work and that sort of thing, but what they're really wanting is a print release. And the way that I just tell them, I just say, I just retain ownership, but I'm going to give you a limited personal print release, and you can print for yourself all you want, biggest, smallest, any product, on mugs, on shirts, whatever you want to do. And I've never had any of them question that. And actually, a couple of them have said, that's amazing. I never knew that. And so it's just all about educating your client. So just seriously consider, because I see it a lot, and I had this question on my page today, that if you are a photographer that gives copyright, consider retaining ownership. Because what if you do a spectacular photograph and you can make millions on it? Well, but if you signed away the rights, you get nothing.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
And now the sign into those contracts, is that something that sounds like you should do before the photo shoot?
I personally, what I do is I don't even put someone on my calendar until I have a couple things. So I've talked to them and I understand what they're looking for. The deposit or retainer fee, and which is also my session fee, it's just in one, and the signed contract. And you could show up and do it on session, on paper, on iPad. I just like to do it digitally, and I did a blog post last week how digital contracts are accepted readily. That's an ever-changing legal field. There's different elements and criteria you have to meet, but I just find that it's a lot easier for digital contracts and get it all done, and that way I'm covered. So when I show up for session, all I'm worried about is, oh, you look fantastic. Is there anything particular you wanted? Instead of having to say, oh, can you sign this contract? Because even as outgoing as I am, I get really awkward, and this is really weird considering I have the legal side. I get really awkward when I start talking to people about contracts and money face to face for some reason. I guess I just feel like I can't be personable and be myself and be happy-go-lucky. So I just do that all up front before I even book them.
And maybe this is just me, but it seems like if you're getting into the shoot, that's when you want to really be creative and have your mind flowing and thinking of creativity. And if you got to get all the paperwork and all that stuff out of the way, that's just kind of, that's the other side of creativity, and it can make it more difficult and just another stress. If you can get that stuff out of the way beforehand, that's better.
And it also goes back to efficiency. It's time is money. It's like you ask, how many sessions do I do? I try to do as much things automated or digitally as I can without sacrificing customer service. But if that's done, when I show up for the session, I can commit my time to the session. I'm not having to wait 15 minutes for them to dig in their purse to find a check or not have a check or worry about not getting paid, the retainer deposit session fee. So it's efficiency. So I know that I'm only going to be there for a certain amount of time.
What now? Let me ask you. I want to go back to something so I don't forget it. But you just made me think of something. That somebody paying beforehand that retainer fee, that session fee, does that make them more likely to show up for their scheduled session?
Yes. Yes. I can't even tell you. Your time is money, and any time that you're answering emails or showing up or driving to a session fee, and most of the time, and I know someone asked this earlier, and I want to address it later on, but I run my business a lot with my husband gone, and so a lot of time I'm securing a babysitter. Tonight I'm lucky my mom's visiting, so she's watching the kids for me, but typically I would be securing a babysitter, so I would already be having to pay, and I just think that it kind of holds the client's feet to the fire a little bit. They've given their word. And once they put the money where their mouth is, they're a lot more likely to show up. Yeah. I haven't had a single one skip out since I instituted that policy.
Yeah, that's what I would think, that you're much more likely to show up if you've paid. Now you mentioned electronic signature, so you have it on your iPad, or what are they doing? Typing in a number? They're not actually physically signing anything at that point.
Well, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. The one that I do is when I send the client guide and the deposit or retainer information. I need to get out of calling it a deposit. The retainer information in the contract, I utilize mock forms, or there's FormSite. There's all sorts of contract digital things out there, and it has all the terms. They put it in the personal information, and there's a spot that says, I understand this is a digital signature, and they're signing it, emails me a copy, emails them a copy. Now, there's also sorry, I see this is what happens when I try to read chat so I can grab questions. You can also do it on iPad. There's a couple ways. I know the one contract that I do use, application that I do use is Photographer Contract Maker, PCM.
Somebody had mentioned it before in chat, I believe, yeah.
I put it in my blog post a couple weeks ago, and they actually physically sign with their finger. And so it's their actual physical signature, and right then I can email it to myself and to them.
That's very interesting. So they just sign right there on the iPad itself. But of course, then you'd have to do that in person.
Right, and
that'd be the downside
that's one
of
more
that.
piece of equipment I have to carry with me. That's one more thing I have to remember to do. And
all right, so again, these questions are out of order because I did not put them in a great order, but I'm trying to catch a few of the questions people put out there in your Facebook page. And this is probably going back more to the beginning, but what would be the proper order to setting up your business? So you're just starting out to become a professional photographer. What's some of the first things that you should do?
Oh, I don't know. Where do you want me to start with that?
Should it be get a lawyer or something, or is that too early?
It kind of depends on where you are, I think, in your technical skills. I've admitted before, and I admitted that I did it all the wrong way. My husband got me a Nikon for Christmas. I pulled it out of the box. I thought I was going to be a photographer. I started my business. I didn't get legit. And mind you, I was already in law school at this time, and I already had my MBA, so I knew the laws. I knew the rules. I knew the right thing to do. But for me, I was just thinking, well, I'm just going to make a couple bucks here and there. I didn't even know how to work the camera. I can't even believe I'm admitting all this, but it's true, and I tell people because I made that mistake, you don't want to make the same mistake. So then I pulled myself out of the business. I focused on getting technically sound, and I think when you get to there, and there's a blog post that I read about this a couple weeks ago, when you get technically sound after you've done portfolio building, I personally believe that you're more creatively free and stress-free to learn the craft without the business aspect. But once you have a pretty firm foundation, then start charging. But only once you get your business formation set up with your jurisdiction. And I say jurisdiction because we have some Canadian listener and Australian listeners.
Yep.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. It did. I think, a lot of people struggle with when should I go pro? And I'm not going to set an answer for everybody, but I would think that the basics, you would need to know how to use the camera. You would need to know, you don't necessarily have to know all the technical stuff, but you have to have some consistency. And maybe you don't know what exactly an f-stop means or exactly what ISO means or some of those things, but you know how to use them on your camera to get what you want.
You shouldn't have to be looking around in menus while you're out there doing a photo shoot. You should know what everything is, how to take that picture and not say, well, what do I do now, I guess, is really what you're driving home.
Well, like somebody just asked, how do you entice people to let you take their pictures in order to build your portfolio? And that kind of goes back to balancing family and how I do it with my husband gone. I built my business when he was deployed. He wasn't here to help. And I almost think, I love you, babe, but I almost think it's a little easier because you do have to put in longer hours with him gone, because you have to put in a little longer hours to get your business going. And so I really wasn't taken away from him. I was able to focus on in the evenings working on the business aspect, but it did make it harder in that I just can't say, hey, watch them, I have a session. I have to prearrange a babysitter. And so for portfolio building, what I did was, and I was thinking about this today, there's a lot of pictures that will never see the light of day again, because I would seek people out, and a lot of them are my friends, and they're probably listening, and I took their family pictures, and they were awful, but I would trade babysitting services with them. They would babysit for me while I went to a session, then I would do free pictures for them later, and it just kind of, I tried to start my business at the lowest cost possible, and I still try to run it at the lowest cost possible because I didn't have a lot of capital when I started up. I didn't want to invest personal money because I didn't really think I was going to make anything of myself. I'm not even sure I'm still going to. So I'm trying to limit the investment only to necessities. So I guess those that are listening that know me, I'm really long-winded. So I see people out, and I still do this all the time. I wrote a blog post about working for free, and I think people probably wanted to take my head off, but sometimes when I'm feeling creatively stuck, or I want to add something to my portfolio, or I want to, I just want to shoot. I don't want to have to worry about getting the commercial picture that, of all the kids cheesy smiling that the mom's going to buy, because we are a services industry. We are shooting for our customers' needs. I just seek people out, and I'll do a casting call.
Casting call. So what, you just like on your Facebook page?
Yeah.
Ask for people?
And I even do casting calls now, not for free portfolio building stuff. I'll do it if I know I want to do certain type of sessions, just to let the people know that I do certain type of sessions. But casting calls will bring people in.
So I have an answer for that, and it's going to kind of loop back onto one of our first topics, copywriting. I have a much easier way to build a portfolio. Just go to somebody else's website and take all the photos off that website.
Oh my gosh!
And put them as your photo.
Yeah.
We talked about this last night, and I'm shocked that people would see that would be okay. And sometimes I've heard photographers say, "Well, somebody else designed it for me. I didn't know that those, but when you looked at your website, you had to know, I never took that shot." And you may not know where the person got them from, but you should know that I would know all my photos. If somebody designed my website and I looked at it and I said, I don't recognize any of those photos, I would know they're not mine.
Right. And
if you're using someone else's photos, I don't know the legality of it, but it just doesn't seem right at all to use someone else's photos like that.
Well, and because it is such an issue, sometimes this is why I encourage that as you go along, get rid of your older work that you've really progressed from, because if there is a vast difference between one picture to another, there may be question. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I want them to give me the benefit of the doubt. But sometimes, because it's a very real issue that happens all the time. I mean, I see it weekly in forums online of people stealing pictures. So, but if you see two vastly different styles and technical skill, you just.
How do they? Let me ask you this: so, do you watermark your images on your page? Because I was streaming them earlier and I didn't really pay attention to that. But because if you do, what are they doing with that? Like, they got to get rid of that. They can't put it up on their Facebook page or their website and have your logo all over the place, I would hope.
A lot of people use the clone stamp to get rid of it. The new way that I've been adding my logo would be really easy for people to crop out, which is probably bad. I'm probably going to change that.
Mine too. I'll put it on the left-hand side and I can just crop it right out.
But the thing is, if I'm a client, I don't want someone's big logo across my face. And so it's kind of a balance of trusting other people, and I'm too trusting probably. Like I said, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. It comes back and burns me, but maybe I'm just too hard-headed. I'm not going to learn my lesson. So I just think that's a personal decision, whatever people want to do. But at least for putting it online, I would always identify yourself, especially with websites like Pinterest. Even though it can link back, that link can get broken at any time. That's not always there. So
I think Pinterest is going to eventually have some legal issues that they're going to have to deal with. We'll hear about that years from now.
I love Pinterest.
and, you know, it's becoming extremely popular, but I think because of the things like you just mentioned, it's only a matter of time before there's some trouble there. So the other big question that people had and that we want to talk about was pricing. And so you're starting your business out. You've decided, you know, I am good enough to go out and be a pro. I've set up a little portfolio. You know, how do you go about setting your pricing? Because, you know, with a lot of the way things are now, you probably don't operate in an environment where there's not competitors. There's probably competitors and maybe new ones all the time. And you run that battle of how do I set pricing so that I can live off of it or I can make a business out of it versus when my competitor's doing a wedding for $150 or I don't know what would be a cheap wedding. But you know, something really cheap for a wedding. And you know, I mean, if you're charging if you're probably even charging $500 for a wedding, I don't know how if you did the math and all the gear you have to buy and the insurance and the business license and the taxes, there's no way that's going to be a profitable thing and you still be able to buy food to eat.
The biggest thing, man, pricing is such an animal because people always ask me, and then I feel like I give them the stock response of, take my workshop so I can help you. And the reason I say that is not because I want to make money. I mean, we all do, but it's because it's not as simple as me telling you X, Y, Z. There's a lot more to it than that. The very first thing, like you said, was you alluded to cost of doing business. You really need to look at what your costs are. And most think, oh, well, it's only 3 hours of shooting or 5 hours of shooting. Well, but there's a lot of processing time, consultation time, driving time, your overhead of your website, your marketing, and so forth. And so I really, when I sit down with people to do pricing, we go over all these things. And it's different for everybody. I'm going to have some outsourcing fees that the next person may not have. And because we all have different strengths and weaknesses, and some of us outsource things that we have weaknesses in, and keep the things that we have the strengths in. So that's the very first thing is look at their cost of doing business and ignore your competitors to a point. It's very, very important that you look at your local market and see what your market can sustain, and how much you're willing to do your marketing to show value of your product. See, it's so hard to explain because it's such a big animal, and there's really little bites that are so specific to each individual. But those people that are shooting and charging, and oh my gosh, and I was one of them when I first started. I didn't know any better. $15 for all pictures on disc, and I hope those clients have burned those discs by now because they were awful. But
wait, you would do a whole shoot, give them a disc full of images, it was $15?
Oh, maybe it was like 20. But and I'm being serious that this is I see it every day. I have people that email me about it every day, and because in their mind they're thinking, well, all I'm spending is $250 for a DVD-R and a jewel case. Well, that's not it. There's so much more that goes into it. So my advice is ignore. The people that are charging that are going to do one of two things. They are either going to get really burnt out because they're going to be in such a negative, or hopefully, like I did, not to say that maybe it was right, I don't know, pull themselves out of the business, learn it for real, then come back full force and be charging applicably. I think as photographers as a whole, we undervalue ourselves because we look at it as that we are able to do that, so we don't put as high a value. Let me give an example. I can't sew to save my life. I can't cook to save my life. So those are two things that I will outsource and I will pay someone a lot more for. Now, when it comes to pictures, while I value photography, I find myself fighting all the time going, but I could do it. I could just shoot my own kids. You know, so in my mind, when you're setting your own prices, it's really good to have someone else to help kind of balance and look at your competitors to help balance out where you should be.
Yeah, I think not everybody is, it's a battle you're never going to win. Not everybody's going to understand the value of the photographer. I used to shoot a lot of soccer, and I would look at the shot. I shot for a company. I didn't have to worry about the business side. I was just a shooter. And I would look at the photos I took, and I would look at the photos the parents took who had virtually the same access as me. When you're talking about soccer, you're right there on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at their photos, you look at my photos, and it's a world of difference that I can see. But what they saw was their photo was good enough for them. And their photo was going to cost them 29 cents, 24 cents, whatever it was, to go have printed at Costco, where the company I was shooting for was selling that 4x6 or 5x7 for $5 or $10. And they just could not get past but it only cost you 29 cents to print.
Right.
And didn't think about all the other things. Another thing I think about is maybe there's two paths. You can go low price and shoot, and maybe you get a lot of clients and shoot like crazy, and you're just crazy busy, but you're really not making any money. And you really, because you're so busy and you've got all this going on, maybe not as creative as you want to be, and you're not progressing as much as you want to be, and you're caught in a cycle it's going to be hard to get out of. Or you can go the other way, where maybe you set your pricing where maybe it's not quite where it needs to be, but it's somewhere more in the middle, and you don't have as many clients, but then you build them up, and you have more time to be creative and more time to do that. And in the end, you may end up with the same amount of money. Because I know a lot of photographers who say, look, this is what I'm going to shoot for, the price I'm going to charge, and if they don't want to pay it, then I'll just have another client who does. And if I only get 4 clients a month who are going to pay what I want, that's much better than having 20 clients a month that I'm going to do for $15.
And it hurts. I mean, I was talking about this with somebody today. It really, okay, you guys got to talking about food. I am 8.5 months pregnant, and y'all are in the chat room talking about food.
Talking about Joe's Crab Shack, Cracker Barrel, chicken and dumplings,
oh my gosh.
Domino's.
Oh, you guys.
And I had Sonic tonight.
That's what I was saying. Oh, yeah, you make a good point. Do you want to be high volume, low price, or high price, low volume? I feel like I've kind of fell in the middle. And it changes everywhere you are. This is why I really caution people when it comes to the pricing guides. They are great starting points. I have read a lot of the big ones that people recommend out there. They are great starting points. But I think one of the things that it really is isolated from is that everyone's market is different. I'm about to move again, so I've already been doing my market research. Well, I have a lot of changes that I have to make. Pricing and marketing wise for my new market. I'm still going to be in the state of Texas, but I'm going to be 10 hours away. It's completely different. And another point that I wanted to make earlier when it comes to setting your prices, don't just Google and find someone in your area and assume that that they're doing well. You don't know their bottom line. And they may not even be your competition. Morgan has come on here before, and she's a fabulous photographer, and we do workshops together, and I think the reason that we've been able to do that so well, and we've talked about this before, is that I don't consider her my competition because she does kids and babies. I don't touch them with a 10-foot pole. So just because she's in my local area, she's 2 miles down the street, I don't consider her my competitor. But I do consider her pricing, and she considers mine and other like skilled photographers when it comes to setting my prices.
No, that's a good point. Not every photographer in your area is a competitor. And sometimes you can form partnerships with them where you can even do referrals back and forth, and they can become an asset, like Morgan is to you. And that's a thing that I've talked to a lot of photographers recently who are great in their market, and they're moving, and the thing that stays consistent is it may take them a little bit, but they become great in the new market too. They have a proven, or they know what they're doing, and they build up another client base. So that's another question that was out there in Facebook is, what's your best marketing tool for your business?
Social media. I think that when it comes to price per reach. I don't know how I want to say that. The price for the price that I'm paying and the amount of reach that I'm getting, social media is the best. But I do have a friend who actually owns a business kind of like mine with consulting of other individuals. She goes, what would happen if social media and the internet was gone tomorrow? Would your business fail? And it made me think, oh my gosh, it probably would. So it made me start pushing outside the box to think about things that I can do more tangibly. It's really hard with us moving all the time, being military.
We do thank your husband for serving, though.
Yes, thank you, babe.
And yeah, you know, I doubt that social media is going to fail and the internet's going to fail. I mean, if it did, we're going to need a lot more people joining your husband and what he does.
Yeah, we'd have bigger problems.
Something bad has gone on. But you know, so you have built in a very short period of time, really, a really strong following on Facebook. What would you say is the key to that?
It's not because I'm fantastic. It's not because I have all the answers. I think it's because I'm honest and straightforward, and I feel that if I could help one person, then it's going to come back to me. And I don't do it because I want something back, but I just think that in life, that if you help somebody else, your life's going to be better overall. I don't know. I just like to help, and I think that has really touched other photographers, and it really has. It's funny because it developed a marketing tool for me that I never thought was there. I never really considered, and I don't want to use the term using, but I never really considered utilizing other photographers as a marketing tool. I get referrals from other photographers all the time. It's because the industry is so small when you have social media, but the reach is so wide. I have a friend that's in a group that a lot of the members are in the chat right now. She's in Hawaii, and she sent me a client from here. And I do it for people all the time. I get emails all the time asking me, do you know a photographer here or there that you would recommend? And that actually brings me to a really good point when I want to go back to talking about pricing and marketing. If I go to your page and I can't find out where you're from, if I can't find it within 5 to 10 seconds, more than likely your potential clients are clicking off and going elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I would hate for that to happen if you put all this effort into social media and all this effort into marketing and getting your pricing and your business going, and then because of one little thing they leave.
And I think if you ever looked at your Google Analytics, and you can get real-time Google Analytics, I think you did a post or something on that at one point. You know, that is if you ever look at that and see the short amount of time somebody spends on your page, the average person, I mean, that is real telling. And you're right. If they have trouble navigating your page or trouble finding what they want to find, they're not going to stay there for long.
Yeah, my husband makes fun of me that I'm a Google Analytics nerd because I always have a window open on my computer and I have an app on my phone, and really honestly it's market research for me because I am now able to know the time of day that I have the best readership. There's no point in me posting at midnight. I mean, I might get comments if I ask about ice cream, which happens quite frequently, which I find really interesting. But other than that, they're typically not going to be reading content on my blog. So I have found, and through other research of other people's studies, the different times of day, and it's all part of my market. It's like finding where the people are. I also market to photographers, so I need to know what time of day that they're editing and what time of day they're online, and that they're wasting time on Facebook instead of developing a business plan. Hint, hint. I'm guilty as charged for that as well, but I use it as a tool, and I'm able to see locations and how long they're on the website and so forth.
Yeah, you know, there's a long list of things that impress me about you, but you know, one thing here is, you know, developing a Facebook following like you have, and you have a very strong Facebook group too, F-Stop Frenzy, takes effort. You know, if F-Stop Frenzy is probably somewhat self-sustaining now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it was not at first, and your Facebook page is not. You have to be actively engaged in that, and that can be time-consuming.
And that's a lot of working on the go. I mean, I don't even consider it really working, because I think that's the thing, is that I view it as helping, and it just happened to come back to help me in the end. But I like to help. I like to answer other photographers' questions, and I do a lot of updating from my phone. Since I am on the go all the time, my phone should probably be like permanently attached to my hand.
Yeah, I think a lot of the emails I've gotten from you have been from your phone.
Yeah, can you tell?
Hey, but that is like the mini mobile computer of today. I mean, it's a valuable business tool.
Yes, very. It's. I would not be able to run it without my phone, my iPhone, Apple products, of course.
And I'm Android, so either one.
Of course, imagine that.
I'm on Android too.
But either one. Black. I used to love my BlackBerry. It's probably the best keyboard out there, but that's about all it does well. You really need more than that these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying run out and get an iPhone. Budget for it. Put it in your equipment budget, or a smartphone. I just happen to have one as my home phone, or personal phone. So.
Okay. Here's another question somebody had and this is probably hit just about every photographer out there. What do you do when you're down and out? Maybe had a bad session. You have a block. You can't think of I can't think of anything new. Everything's starting to look the same. How do you bounce out of that?
Well, you just described every single day of my life. No, I think it's one of those things that I got to the point. I was so driven to get the ball rolling that I didn't really let that stop me. And then when the balls got rolling and this kind of stuff happens, I just sit down and evaluate what is causing the stress, which was one of the reasons that I was looking for out processing of editing, and also made me raise my prices and reduce the amount of sessions I was taking. But other than that, cry. I mean, or do a free session. Get in my mind an image of a session that I've been wanting to do and seek someone out and execute. And that kind of frees me. Does it always work? No. I don't really think there's any right answer for that.
Yeah, I don't know either because I'm not a professional. I do it for a hobby, so I don't have that stress. But I don't know about you, Tim, but I sometimes get a block. Okay, I've shot Swanee Town Center 1,000 times. Do I really want to go back? I've spent probably I took a few days off for spring break when my kids were off, and I drove around the area quite a bit, like sunrise, sunset. Oh, I love the sunrise. I love the sunset. But I couldn't find a place I wanted to shoot. It was very frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I get into the same routine, especially now that soccer started back up and all the sports. I find myself weekends taking a lot of pictures just of soccer and not anything else, or a lot of family functions. So I don't have the creative side. I don't drive around looking right now for sites, and I really wish I would, because there are some nice sites to go find. And unless I go on vacation somewhere, I'm probably taking pictures at home, close to home.
Let me ask you this, Rachel. One of the things I did is, my phone doesn't have GPS, and if you have the new Lightroom, there is a map. And not my phone. My camera doesn't have GPS. My phone does. But Lightroom has a new map feature. But what I've been doing is when I do go out and drive around, let's say the lighting isn't just right, but I look at the site and say, this is going to be a good site. I just need to come back here at the right time of the day. I will, go there and I'll take a picture of it with my cell phone, which has the GPS data. I can then load it in Lightroom, and I start building this. Okay, here's a place I want to go back and visit. And I have that GPS data right where it is. And, it may be because it's an old building that is, an old barn or something like that, or it could be a lake where I want to go get the sun when it's hitting it a different way. But that's a way for me to start building like a shooting location database.
Oh, I like the idea of that, because every phone has that in there. And if you see something while I drive by, I don't always have my camera with me, but that's a great idea to say, you know what, I need this location to come back to at some point in the future.
Well, before Lightroom 4, I was carrying the phone with me, and I would take a photo, and then later I'd take that GPS data and stick it into my camera's photo, so I had GPS data. But now with Lightroom 4, it's easy just to drag it onto the map.
Well, my just so you know, my camera's a little bit better than yours. Then I have GPS in the camera.
Your camera's a lot better than mine.
For now.
I was just shooting a Nikon D2X, which I'm really looking at that D800. That looks wonderful.
Oh, the D800.
Are you with the 700 or?
I'm on the 700, and since my husband's listening, I will plug D800.
D800. What's his name? I'm sorry.
Nathan.
Nathan, I think she definitely deserves a D800. I mean, 3 children, a law degree.
Yeah, no.
That's you know what?
That could be a great push prize.
Well, I was going to go as could be a great graduation gift. A new
Interesting.
Nikon D800.
Oh, but honestly, and I've been thinking about this a lot.
He's on the site right now.
I know, I see that. I see that. I actually want to point and shoot because I have found that, especially with Christmas card season and this spring with everything being so busy, my hands almost like scream when I pick up the D700 now. Like they're just so tired.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that's probably my fault. I'm going 100 million miles an hour. But I look back at the pictures and I realize that I'm missing out on taking my own kids' pictures. And so that's one of my new goals. That I encourage everyone that every 3 months, set goals, reassess the ones. And my new one for this quarter is to really get out and start taking pictures of my own kids more, even if it is just with a point and shoot. I mean, I still found myself using rule of thirds with my iPhone camera, but you got to shoot for pleasure sometimes.
You do have to shoot for pleasure sometimes. And I think we should open up for questions from chat here in just a minute. But before we do, we did give a Lightroom 3. We had a Lightroom 3 giveaway for the month of March. And I just want to give an update on that. We had 2 winners. We gave away 2 box copies, so I had to physically mail them. I heard from both winners Saturday, I think it was. Heard from both winners Saturday that they received their copies in the mail. And I know at least Stephen has installed it and is playing with it. So I haven't heard from the other person, but that was very good. And guys, I just got the warning, and if you ever used Google Plus before, about an hour in, it'll say, are you still here? I was in a little bit before you guys, so you have a little bit to go, but just be looking out for that. Rachel, before we open up the chat, did you have anything that I missed asking, or you wanted to talk about?
No, I did want to make an announcement. I've been really working on narrowing down different people, different vendors, and labs that I work with that I can really get behind the product. And so I will be having, starting tomorrow, I believe, I will be having a coupon code available for a canvas company for y'all to be able to use. I think it'll be good for about a week to order canvases. I actually have one of theirs sitting right here next to me. So just watch the Facebook page for that. That way you guys can utilize that. I don't know what the code's going to be yet. They haven't emailed me. I just got off the phone with them right before I got on with you guys tonight. So that will be available. And I don't make anything on that. That's just because I want to promote, because I like their customer service. I like their product and everything. So I don't get paid for saying this. So I'm ready for questions whenever you guys are.
And as long as we're doing a little bit of plugging here, I wanted to say something. What I'm going to tell you, do not do this now. But oh crap! I don't know if it's even on my screen. Maybe you can't do it at all. Do you see an ad below the chat window?
I had mine there earlier. I don't see it there now.
Huh? Do you, Rachel?
It says my blog.
Yeah, it's going to be personal to whoever. Anyway, if you do see the ad, before you go to leave, click on that. If you don't see the ad, obviously don't do it. Do not click on it now; it'll take you out of the page. And if the ways to support the site everything's free. If you click on, we have ads throughout the site for either Adorama or Amazon. If you click on one of those, it takes you there. And if you buy something, then the show gets a little bit of a credit. No additional cost to you, and there's other ads throughout the site. If you click on those, it does help the show get a little bit of ad revenue.
They put in a lot of work. I mean, this stuff takes a lot of pre-session, radio time, post-radio time. It's a free download off of iTunes. I wouldn't even know where to start with all that. So they're amazing. So if you guys could refer, and they're not paying me to say this, although maybe now that I think about it, I should have pitched that to them before this.
You've been great for the show.
So, but really, they have somebody new every week. They're amazing. I listen to it on my phone when I'm driving and I can't watch. It's just a plethora of knowledge. I wish I had people that were more willing to help me when I first started. It's a very competitive industry. It's a very can be very hateful at times, and so these guys are just wanting to lift everyone up and help everyone. So if you could just spread the word.
Yeah, and we have a lot of, thank you very much, Rachel. We have a lot of new guests coming down the road that are going to be great too. But another way you can help the site is on iTunes. Just simply on iTunes, just put in a comment there. If you do it all through the audio feed, we then kind of funnel them all through one place. But just leaving a comment there, that's free. But you do have to do it through iTunes, unfortunately. So why don't we open this up to chat? And we try to get some of them during the show. I tried to get some of them from your Facebook group. But before we run out of time tonight, I want to try and cover these. Chat that can move a little fast, so we may miss yours, but we'll try and grab some questions from chat, and if we miss it, post it again, we'll come back to it. So let's see. I try to get my picks.
How do you have a great senior rep program? I have not implemented one because I haven't been in one area long enough to be able to successfully or even make an attempt to market it. I have moved twice since last May, and I'm moving again this May. So I haven't really been able to create a senior market rep program. But my biggest tip for that, as well as with any marketing, it's identifying your mind before you even go out there and think about what client you're wanting, where they are, put yourself in their path. Marketing is a combat sport. When I say sport, it is a sport. You can't just passively write things on Facebook and expect them to come to you. I was doing that for so long, and I even made this comment the other day. If I didn't have Google Analytics, I would think that people were not reading my blog when I have over 1,000 hits a day, and I only know that because of the Google Analytics. And so it's reaching beyond what you see on the surface for marketing and go out there and find the people that you want and pull them in. So I guess for a senior rep program, get engaged with your local schools, identify the requirements that you want to have for your senior reps, of course have contracts, have everything in place, and go from there.
Yeah, maybe we can answer this one quick one. How old were your kids when you got into photography? And if you have a husband that has a demanding job who's not always there because of the demands of his job, how were you able to swing that? How old were they?
Joshua was 5 and Olivia was, I don't remember, under 1, under 2. Yeah, Nathan would know. 5, and I think she was the reason I got the camera. She was the reason I got the DSLR in the first place, which my husband calls the worst Christmas present he's ever given me. So, and that's another thing. Don't let people tell you that you don't have time to do it. I've had naysayers all along the way. I had more naysayers today. And you just have to focus on, if you really want to do it, you can make time to do it. It's not going to happen overnight. You just have to find ways to be efficient and go for it.
I don't think you ever reach a level of photography where you're not going to have criticism. I was reading something about Scott Kelby the other day, and everybody knows who Scott Kelby is.
Yes.
And he was doing something for somebody to come and shoot with him at a college football game, and he got an incredible amount of criticism for that. He was crucified for that. And it's just, you got to continue to do what you're going to do. If you think you're doing the right thing, you take some advice, but you don't always have to do what everybody tells you to do.
Well, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's your business, it's your life. A lot of people can sit behind a keyboard and say what they want to say and hurl insults or criticisms, or even when it's good natured. I tell my mentees this all the time, and I prefaced it at the very beginning, that just because it's worked for me doesn't mean it will or will not work for you. You have to do what's for you, because at the end of the day, when you go to bed, it's your business, it's not mine.
Yeah. Yep. Now, your viewing sessions, do you do those in person or online?
Oh my goodness. My goal for this year was to do in person, but it's not been feasible. All my wedding ones are always in person, but my individual portrait sessions have been all online. I really would like to change that. That's one of my goals this year.
To get more in person?
Yes, to pretty much go to only in person. The problem is that people are busy. I'm busy, and it's adding more cost to you that you're eating out of your profit because you're having to go meet them. But it could pay off in the end. And
you need to get an assistant.
I know. I have one. She's in the chat. She's great. She's in Virginia. I need someone in office with me.
Yeah. Maybe your husband will retire earlier and he can work with you.
No, no.
What? And here's another question from chat: is what print houses do you use?
I'm sorry.
What do you use for a print company? And did you try several and then choose on one, or how did you come about to choose the one you got?
I chose several. I knew the prices that I wanted, price point that I want to stay in, and this also goes for my packaging products. I kind of balance the price, the quality, the customer service, and turnaround. I have been using Miller's Lab just because I absolutely love their turnaround. I just know that things do get away from me, and if I need to order something, it'll be here in 2 days.
Somebody was just asking me this question just today in person, and I use White House Custom Color. Did you try them out? And if you did, why did you like Miller's versus White House Custom Color?
I don't know. I just kind of made that decision last year, and I think because I sat down and did all my pricing and all my research with them, and I liked their product. I think that labs are a lot like the whole Nikon Canon debate to a point. You know, there's always positives and negatives, but I think for the most part, the successful ones have pinned down the features and the quality that need to be there. So it's a personal decision, and the thing with Miller's is that my printing colors are always true to my screen.
Yeah. I think, you know, if you're looking at a quality organization like Miller's or White House Custom Color, or is it MPix or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
One of the really good ones, you know, probably any of those are going to be good. You just maybe you send off prints to the ones you're considering,
Mm-hmm.
get them back, and see, you know, what prints you like better and what's interface. Maybe their website just works for you better than another.
And send the same pictures to all of them. Same with outsourcing editing. But see, I'm a big stickler. One of my things is trying to turn around my sessions as quick as possible. I do sessions within 48 hours, have the gallery delivered. That I just feel like that's one of my things. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to base my business on, was faster, better. And so Miller's just kind of fit the bill with that.
One thing that this goes back to the marketing question. One thing that Ryan and Denise told us about, and maybe a lot of people do this, was they get their clients. They're wedding photographers, so maybe they don't have quite as many clients, but they know their customers' wedding anniversary, obviously, and their birthdays and that kind of stuff, and they send them something out on their birthday and their anniversaries to keep them in mind, and that helps them get repeat business. Because a lot of times, you know, photographer, you go and take their photos and you may not see them again. They may not come back, but if they get something to jog their memory, oh yeah, I remember that Rachel Brenke. She did some good work for us, and then they recommend you.
Oh, come on, Mike, I'm unforgettable. I mean, come on, look at this. No, I'm kidding.
Well, not everybody is unforgettable as you.
I'm kidding. No, I think that's a great point, and that kind of goes along the line of thanking your clients. You wouldn't have a business without your clients, so it's really important to thank them. I haven't done birthday anniversary. It's one of my many things that I want to kind of institute, but I have been doing that. I do follow-ups with my clients. This year, I really intend on sending out thank you gifts, not just thank you cards.
Wow.
I am also doing after wedding gifts for when they get back from their honeymoon.
So I'll take a Nikon D800.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So it's just finding the different things that you can do. I also have it on my calendar. I have my calendar for the whole last year, so I know when the individual session was, and especially if it was a family session, they probably have not had pictures since then. So it is kind of good just to send them a, hey, you know, about the same time, how are you doing, yada, yada. And it may jog the memory and go, oh, it's been a whole year since we've had pictures.
Absolutely.
Oh, and Laura, don't be worried about WHCC. I didn't mean anything bad by it at all. Like, I have nothing against them. Miller's just printed true to form, and I kind of just ran with it. So I'm not against any of the other labs.
Yeah, I think you just got to try them out and pick which one you like.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I missed a lot of questions. I tried to catch some as we were going through. Anything, we still have a little bit of time here. Anything I missed that somebody wants to ask?
Let me see.
The comments will be going fast and furious in chat.
Yeah. So we didn't break it. We're not going to break a record tonight, Rachel. We do have a tremendous crowd out there, and anytime you get this many people out there, it's hard to keep up with the chat.
I know. I'm kind of bummed, but that's okay. I mean, I've been on a couple times, so I'm old hat by now. In the world of instant gratification, do you email a welcome kit or recommend mailing out a hard copy, and what should be in a welcome kit? I think a lot of that, it really depends on your branding and style and what you're trying to portray about yourself. Like I had mentioned earlier before, I have a client guide that goes out. That's what I meant to say that I was missing. With the contract and the retainer, I sent out the client guide, and it outlines all the expectations, what they can expect at the session, the fact that they get a style consultation, how long they should be at the session, how long, kind of stuff that it really is in the contract, but that people never read. And I just have it little bit of, it's in a fancier form with pictures, and it has my pricing as well.
Somebody had a question about organizational questions. I don't know if they're talking about whether you're a C Corp, S Corp, LLC. I don't know if they're asking about that or just organizing yourself. Maybe they can clarify that. But while we're waiting on that, do you offer any kind of discounts for family and friends?
No.
There you go. That's a quick and easy answer.
Well, I think one of my big things, sorry, hurting. One of my big things is if I gave a discount to everyone I considered a friend, that would be everybody. And I kind of have a business to run. I don't know. I don't know how to say that without sounding like money hungry. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to charge my parents. They gave me life. I owe them a lot more. But
this is the trouble that photographers run into, and that people don't value their business because, you know, if you had a plumber friend, you wouldn't say, "Hey, can you come over and plumb my whole basement for free?" Yeah, maybe you do, but I doubt he's going to do that for all of his friends, or else he's going to be starving.
Well, you know, and that's the thing is my cousin's husband is a CPA, and this weekend at Easter I had questions, and I wanted to ask him, and I was just thinking I would absolutely it would drive me batty if people would just say, "Hey, can you bring your camera and come take some pictures for me?" So I had to stop myself and just remember that that's his business. He gets paid to do that, and who's to say he would have sent me a bill? Who knows? But yeah, I just I have that line. That I don't really have a discount. I'll do gifts. I don't really do discounts per se. I do more gifts for people.
Here's a question. Where do you get your biggest inspiration from? Like, so everything, and I guess maybe this is the struggle is, you know, you hear people, they have a style, and you can tell, you know, I don't know if people said this about you, but let's say I can tell a Rachel Brenke, or I can tell a Jasmine Star photo. You know, I know that's their photo.
Put me on the put me in the same sentence as her. Sounds pretty nice.
There you go. Yes. Well, you've met her, haven't you?
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Yes. Sorry. That was so fun.
So I wonder, going from, you know, you develop a style, a Rachel Brenke, you know, style versus being stuck in everything looking the same. How do you balance those two?
One of the things that I learned, and I'm going to be writing about this in the coming weeks, that I learned when I was first starting out, and this kind of has to go with running out and buying every new action, running out buying every prop, is that okay, perfect example. I was in love with newborn photography. I wanted to be a newborn photographer. Well, we all know how well that worked out. And it just because I feel like you develop your own style, you can't force your style. I think that you're, it's just in you. If you're an artist and you're going to excel at it, it's going to come out. So don't fight it. You're going to find it. And I know it's really hard for people to accept hearing that. And I'm still trying to find my style. But even recently with all these outsourcing of the editing, I was like, I want to do something different. I want to be like such and such. I want to be like this person. But at the end of the day, I could get it just like that, but I trashed it because it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Okay. Let's see. Since you do online viewing when it comes to selling products, do you feel that hurts you? Yes. Well, it hurts me intrinsically that I don't get to see my client's reaction. it hurts me financially, I think, because think of it this way. You go to big department store in the mall to get your pictures taken. They want you to order right then. They don't keep your pictures on file. And so you have more of this pressure to buy right then, and you're going to buy more. And I feel like you don't have that with online viewing. And so I know the studies show that in-person ordering does result in higher sales. So yes, I feel like it does hurt me, but right now it's one of the areas that I don't have a choice. Unless I really don't want to sleep.
But it's something that if you did, that's something you would change.
Yeah, I mean, and that's my plan. I plan on getting there.
And this is a question from Facebook. It goes along with this: is for how long do you save files for your clients? Or do you ever delete files?
I have all those yucky ones way back from DSLR first out of the box. I don't really get rid of anything. I need to probably get rid of them at some point. I mean, I even keep the raw files. I'm not just talking edited. I'm talking about the entire, everything I shot in the session. And my Backblaze has been backing up for 4 weeks now, 3 weeks now.
and that's a good point. I use CrashPlan. Backblaze is the same thing. It's a offsite backup store thing. You really need to have a backup thing. I'm looking at my array right now, and I have a lot of storage, and one of my disks is bad. I guarantee you your hard drive will fail at some point. And I have 11 disks in here, and one of them failed last night. So it's just a matter of time. But because of the array, I'm not going to lose anything. I just take that disk out, put a new one in, it's up and going. But I'm like you. I've never deleted any of my photos. I have all the photos. You know, hard drive prices are not that expensive.
No.
And when you think about it, and I'm horrible at writing articles, but this is an article I've been working on. When you think about it, you spend all this effort to take this photo, you know, your personal time, your personal skill, all the camera that you purchase, which is probably multiple thousands of dollars, the lenses, you know, you probably have multiple $1,000s worth of lenses, and then we balk at spending a few $100s on backup protection.
Yeah.
And if you know, sort of like getting pregnant, if you're not preventing, you're trying. If you're not preventing data loss, you're trying to lose.
That's how it happens.
That's how it happens. If you're not preventing, you're trying.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing. My husband laughed. No, that's a very good point. I have external hard drives, and the funny thing is, I went this week because I wanted to re-edit a session I did last year, and I actually, for some reason, don't have those raw files. Those are the only ones that I could not find, and you can't really re-edit a JPEG that's already been edited.
Yeah, not very
so
well.
So I'm kind of lost, and you never know when you're going to want re-edit them down the line.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, where was it? Oh, you guys are going so fast. Okay, well, I don't remember where it was now.
Do you remember the basics?
No.
Well, you've probably scrolled off the screen, so if you don't mind retyping your message out there.
Yeah, I think it had to do with dealing with clients and meeting client expectations, or if they're unhappy.
Yeah, even if that wasn't a question, let's talk about that. So in all your sessions, imagine if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's just a matter of time before you run into a client who just is not happy with the photos, is not happy with whatever, just completely unhappy because people are unreasonable.
I've been really lucky that if I've had an unhappy client, they haven't told me, or they haven't been mean about it. Now, when it comes to like giving workshops, I've had unhappy workshop individuals, and I do what I can to rectify it. So I think anytime, whether you give workshops or you're dealing with people and marketing, customer service should be in the forefront. While you maybe want to sit there and go, but I did my best and it's technically sound. If they don't like it, they don't like it. And like I said earlier, we are a services industry, and we're not going to have a business without our clients. So if we're not giving our all to our clients, I mean, if our clients aren't happy with all we've given them, you need to have policies in place that you can deal with. I don't really know how to answer that.
What about this? You know, if you have an unreasonable client, you're probably not going to convince them to be reasonable. And if you up the situation, I have a tendency to get upset and let the other person drive my attitude. But if you let them drive your attitude, it's just going to get worse and worse.
Right.
And so what you have to do is, if they're not happy with it, you just try and move on. And hey, I'm not going to convince you I'm right. You're not going to convince me you're right. Why argue about this and burn that bridge, and just say they're sorry and move on. Now, that's one of the reasons I would never shoot a wedding, because I don't want that pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Because, unlike in almost just about anything else, you can reshoot if you really had to. A wedding, no, you better get it right that first time.
Someone asked me, if you're shooting a kid who is bad and you don't get a lot from the session, do you shoot longer, or do you just give the parents what you got? I don't shoot kids for that reason.
And W. Page says it was a wedding.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't have much advice there for you, because you can't reshoot it. But ultimately, what's done is done. And at that point, you probably need to look at it and see if, is there any merit in what they said, and it's something you need to improve upon. But it doesn't really matter at that point. There's nothing really you can do. The best you can do is offer them a refund, I would guess.
Don't let them deter you from weddings. Weddings are amazing. They're a lot of hard work.
What about this? What if maybe she had a tough time with a wedding, and if that's something you really want to do, maybe you can become a second shooter for somebody, and learn from them before you jump into it all on your own.
When someone said, how do you find someone to second shoot for? It's the same as finding someone to mentor you. The worst they can do, I won't say that. I was going to say the worst they can do is tell you no. I had people tell me I should give up and not even bother being a photographer. Yeah, it was that bad, and I'm okay with that, because it drove me to be better. Just email people and show them that you're really wanting to work for it. I didn't get paid for okay, I take that back. I got paid for one wedding that I second shot. The rest of them, I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid a dime. I felt like that it was such invaluable knowledge that I should be paying them. It's so amazing that how much you can learn by just watching, not even shooting a wedding, just watching the photographer and following them and getting the whole feel for the day. Put it on Facebook. Get plugged into local Facebook groups. Like I said earlier, that I really found that photographers are a great marketing tool. They're also a great networking tool for finding other people to second shoot with.
Yeah, I'm in a Georgia photographers group, which has a lot of local people, and that's probably a good thing to do, is get in a local group and offer to do it for free. And Tim and Rachel, watch your thing. I just got the message on my server.
Yeah, I saw it on the server.
You guys out in the chat probably saw it pop up. Are you still there? That's one of the things that Hangouts do. I wish they gave you a little bit more time before they ask that question, because sometimes you forget and it'll kick you out.
Someone asked, what if my clients don't want to sign the contract? I don't put them on the calendar. I refund their money and I don't go.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. If they don't want to sign it, that to me is a red flag. Something's wrong there.
Yeah. And that's picking your target client too. You're going to have issues in any level of market, but when you find people that value photography and value art, and you can see that when they're willing to pay the prices they're willing to pay, they're less likely to balk at things like that. Alter contract after the shoot. I've never had an issue with it, but contracts. Some people are really weird about signing contracts, and they say, well, I'm not comfortable signing, and I say, well, I'm not comfortable doing business without a contract. The end, in a discussion. Will they go talk bad about me to someone? Maybe, fine. I'd rather it be because of that and not because of we ended up in court 3 months down the road.
Yeah.
Actually, a contract can be altered once it's signed, but it's an amendment. But anyways, we're not going to get into all that. Just know that try to refer back to contract terms as much as possible when you have issues with a client. And also, don't send email in heat of anger, because with being artists, we're really closely tied to our product, and I'm very closely tied to when I mentor people, and so I do get my feelings hurt, and I know that a lot of photographers do, and so it's hard to keep it business and personal separate, I think, when you're artists. So just kind of try to sit on a response for a little bit and cool down, or let somebody read the response before you send it. So, because once it's gone and it's through your email and it's written, it's written.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good point with a lot of things. Even with your spouse. Calm down for a little bit.
Someone said, when should I register as a business? I'm doing sessions at discounted rate. I personally don't believe, this is my personal, that you should be taking a dime unless you are legitimately registered with your jurisdiction and have your sales tax permit. In the state of Texas, and I said this on past shows, for every day that I hold myself out as a business, I can be fined $500. I am not making enough money to be paying the $500 a day fine. My husband would kill me.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I work for a large corporation, and one of the things we've seen as more and more states and jurisdictions are pinching every penny and trying to find all kind of revenue, is they're going after you for every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing. You know, we're getting audited all the time. Now, fortunately, we're pretty clean,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean they're not trying. So, you know, if you know, they could come after you for that kind of $500 a day fine, and they wouldn't have much sympathy because they're hurting for revenue.
Well, and somebody said they're in a state that doesn't charge sales tax. Well, you're lucky, first of all. But there's still income tax. There's still requirements of registration to be a business, whether it's a DBA because you're a sole proprietor. Some states don't require a DBA though, or to be set up as an LLC. You have to be registered. Excuse me, I'm sorry, baby. You have to be registered with the state.
And that's why we're not giving out legal advice here, because we don't know the local rules.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every state, every jurisdiction may be different, and you're best finding out those things on your own. A lot of times the state may have a web page where they can give you a lot of that information, what you need to do to register for a business.
Mm-hmm. And someone said, I've heard that sometimes, and I get this all the time, they've heard this from somewhere, if you're not making enough in a month, you don't have to be registered and have sales tax taken out. Don't let Aunt Susie be the one to tell you that. Let the state be the one to tell you that. Report everything from a penny up. Let them be the ones to tell you that you have no tax liability, because that Aunt Susie that told you that is not going to be there when you're getting that fine in your inbox.
Yeah, very true.
You know. And yeah, and someone said most states have great sites. They do. It can be overwhelming. I do help direct people to the right areas to get set up. It's so hard because I want to help everyone, but it does take a lot of time to do individualized research. But yeah, like Kaylee said, let the taxing agencies be the one to tell you that you don't know anything.
Absolutely. And Kaylee, I think she's in the military, or her spouse is in the military also.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I believe they're moving back to the States here pretty soon.
They are.
All right, so we have gone way over the time. Usually this is an hour show for anybody out there that's new, but anytime we have a great guest like Rachel, it's hard to keep that within the hour.
How about hours?
But you know, how about Rachel has so much going on. I don't want to abuse her here. How about maybe one or two more questions, and then we'll wrap this up. I'll let you pick which ones you want to answer.
Let me see. The Ohio questions, yes, we will go over that in the workshop, so that doesn't count as one of the questions. Do you have any tips on how to build self-confidence? I come across as very confident, I think. I'm not confident at all. I hate everything that I do. I tear it apart. I think we're all very critical. I think you're never where you want to be. But just have confidence that if you're trying, how do I say this? If you're trying, you're succeeding. Because if you're not trying, you're failing. So try, put your best foot forward every session that you go to. And I think the confidence kind of comes with it. I mean, some sessions I'll leave and I'll feel like, oh, I botched that. And it'll be one of the best ones that other people say that I've done. And I'll have thought that it was awful.
Well, I think that is what makes, that's one of the things that makes you such a, so successful. And that's what I hear from a lot of successful people, is that they're driven to do better. They're never completely satisfied with what they've done. Mm-hmm. It's not to the point where they're discouraged and don't want to go on, but it's actually the opposite. It makes them want to try harder and do better. And being self-critical is what helps them move forward. Because, a lot of people have mommy or daddy glasses on when they look at their photos. Mm-hmm. And because their kid is in it, they think it's wonderful. Or maybe not even your kid. Maybe just because you took the photo, you have emotion in that photo and you can't look at it with an objective eye.
And that's a good tip, that when you're posting online and online groups for criticism, not only do you need to take with a grain of salt of the people that are giving the criticism, take it, learn from it, apply it as you see fit, but don't preface it saying, I love this shot, because whenever people say that, I love this shot, but will you give me constructive criticism? It's really hard for me to look at it objectively when you said you already have an emotional tie to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really difficult. But speaking of emotional ties, somebody asked, how do you deal with family that doesn't support you or your business?
That's tough.
That is a tough one. My husband's very supportive. Do I think that my entire family views this as my career? No. A lot of my friends don't either. I get a lot of, especially with me graduating from law school, I'm getting a lot of, well, aren't you going to get a real job now? And I'm like, I work 40, 50 hours a week. It is a real job. I just happen to really enjoy what I'm doing. So how do I deal with it? I just kind of try to realize that at the end of the day, kind of like with all the naysayers, I'm the one that's living this life. I'm the one that this is my business. I don't want to be on my deathbed going, I never made it. I never fully gave 100% at something. It hurts. It really does hurt. But
let me get one more question, because I think she's typed it twice and I've missed it. She's asked, I hate to ask again, but is giving flyers or something physical to neighbors or other people in public to advertise, even for many sessions, tacky?
I think it kind of depends on your business model. I don't know, but you also got to look at your ordinances in town, whether or not you're allowed to do that. You don't want to break the law and get fined.
What if you had like big business cards? I used to have something here. I don't have it anymore. Maybe like a big business card.
I have one like this big.
Yeah, that is almost like a business card / flyer, and you can hand that out to people.
I do. I leave my business card everywhere. I embarrass my husband. Every time we go out to eat, I leave a business card. Unless I've complained about the food, I leave a business card in the check.
There you go.
Yeah,
there may be a way to there may be a way to do two things, is almost a flyer / business card type thing.
Yeah. People are asking about workshops. My workshops are set up. I don't have them as instant downloads to where they're self-teach, because I think one of my big things that I try to set myself apart is an individualized one-on-one feedback. I feel like you get a lot more. When I first started out, people just sent me the links and kind of were like, here, figure it out. And I really needed guidance. And someone to tell me, yes, this is right, this is not right, as you go along. So that's what I really try to do. They're online, interactive. I feel like they're a lot one-on-one. I try to make them.
Now, did you and Morgan do some like in-person workshops and photo shoots?
Yeah, we have one this Saturday in Austin also. It's our last one together.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
We love Morgan too. She was on here twice. And I think that if you're starting off, maybe at different stages, taking a workshop, either a business type or a post-processing type, or an actual shooting type workshop is a great way. It's a great investment in your business.
I agree, and that's part of going back to planning your business. I know we got to wrap up here in a second, but that is part of planning your business. And someone made the joke about equipment budget earlier. Well, it's really important to have an education budget, and I completely blew through mine this year, but education's going to stick with me. My lenses, probably, considering I sell them and buy new ones all the time, are probably not going to be with me next year. So the education's always going to be there, but your props are going to break or go out of style. Your lenses are going to, you're going to want a new lens or a new body, but the...
So, say I have some equipment to sell before I get that D800, unless you're going to send it to me as a prize. How are you selling your stuff?
Oh, there's all sorts of photographer trade groups online that I sell.
Okay.
My equipment, or I just post on my fan page. Since I do have a big following, I'm able to post it and get rid of it pretty quickly.
Very good, very good. Well, Rachel, thank you again for coming, and I know you got some big things coming up. Yes. Your due date is only a few weeks away. Your the bar exam or finals, or is it finals and then the bar exam is later?
Bar exams in July, so I'll be taking a lot limited office hour sessions and workshop registrations for this summer because of that.
Okay. And I know we probably didn't get to every question out there in chat, but we could keep going for hours probably. And maybe when things settle back down for Rachel, we can have her back on and do this all again. I'm sure she'll have all new great things to tell us because, well, you have at that point another baby. You'll have, maybe your license and everything. And you're going to continue, even though you're getting a law degree, you can continue in photography, right?
Oh, I love it. I don't want to give it up. People are amazing that I've met. Oh, Amber, the announcement was that I'll be having discounts through a canvas company coming out tomorrow.
And somebody just posted 111. I guess they were looking for
I know.
the total. It was 118 was the total. The highest I saw was 118.
I saw 117. I didn't see the 118.
Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and just give it away. These people came. They took time out of their family schedules to listen to me talk.
Okay. So don't leave yet, anybody.
Yeah, don't leave. Let's go ahead and do a drawing real quick for a $100 gift certificate. So do I need to pick a number?
Yeah, why don't you pick a number?
Okay. Between how many do we have on here?
Well, not everybody's logged in the chat. So let's say, good gosh, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Oh my
77
gosh,
in chat.
Nuts.
There's only 78 people logged in the chat. So there's some people who are watching who haven't logged in. So why don't you pick a number between 1 and 78? And I'm in there somewhere, and so's Tim, and so's you. So if it was one of those, no, if it's one of those numbers, we won't, we can't, we're disqualified.
Well, Mike, if you win, we know you rigged it.
Well, I'm disqualified, so I can't win.
You're disqualified. You said, how about 52?
52.
Yeah. And let's see. Oh my gosh, the chat room is going nuts. You guys are crazy. Oh, Nathan, you did not win. Oh, please. I've tried to get
So somebody named N. Brenke. I'm kidding.
No.
Somebody.
How about the name above that one? Molly Stofa?
Molly!
So you say the name?
I think so. Is she still in here? I think she had to go put kids to bed. Or maybe she left it up. Oh,
nope, she's there.
Yay.
You know what's crazy is that name was very close to Melissa Sanchez.
She won 3 times.
She almost won again.
Oh my gosh. Yay. Molly, just email me and we'll get that set up for you. But thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yes,
Yeah,
I love talking to y'all.
Thank you. And, if you want to listen back, the show will be available on our site and on iTunes and wherever else you want to get it within a few days. I'm getting a little bit quicker at getting this done, so it'll be available soon. And be sure to come back. If you're new out there, be sure to come back and watch us in the future. If you're going to buy anything from Amazon or Adorama, come to our site, click on the link, and we'll get a small credit. Rachel was talking about what it takes to put this together. What we really want to do with that is continue to turn it over. Is when you get into photography, there's so much cost. There is software, there is hardware, there is computer and lenses and workshops and all these things. And one of the things we'd like to do is have those funds to continue to give away things like Lightroom and maybe the new Lightroom 4, and if we ever got enough, Photoshop, something like that, to help out people who are just getting into the business. Whether it's, well, I say not necessarily in a business, but even as a hobby. Because the show is geared toward both the hobbyist and the professional.
If there's any questions that I missed, I'm really sorry. It's hard for me to talk and keep up with chat at the same time. Just email me, and I can't promise to answer all the emails, but I'll try to compile it all and get it on the blog. Yep. So
and as you go to leave, if you do, it looks like I don't have an ad and a bunch of people else don't have an ad, but if you have one below chat, click on that as you go to leave it. We'll take you out, and then we get a small credit for that. Awesome. But everybody out in chat, thank you very much for coming.
Bye.
We'll be back next week.
Alrighty.
Rachel, thank you for coming. And Rachel, hold out for 1 second.
Okay.
Good night, all.